And obviously, as a general point, the Yugoslav wars also, I think, helped prepare the narrative for Ukraine. All right, much of the narrative of Ukraine also comes from the Yugoslav wars. And one of the things you've had in Yugoslavia was the repeated efforts, actually by the EU, to bring about a negotiated settlement of the Bosnia-Herzegovina war, and indeed to prevent the war. In Lisbon, there were talks in 1992, orchestrated by the EU, and I believe the United Nations as well, simultaneously, to settle the ethnic conflict in Bosnia-Herzegovina without war. And they almost succeeded until the American ambassador basically told both the Croatian and the Bosnian delegations not to sign. The Americans would enable them to settle it on the battlefield and win on the battlefield, and that's what they should do. Worked out very well, didn't it? No, it worked out very well. But the bottom line is the Americans did sabotage the peace agreements, as they did also, quite clearly, in the case of Ukraine. Ukraine almost settled the Ukraine war was almost settled 2 months into the war, until basically the United States urged them not to sign any agreement with the Russians. So there's that parallel. I think, and that's the whole idea of the neocon ideology, the neoconservative ideologies. You don't negotiate. You defeat them on the battlefield and you win decisively. That's their ideology. Now, it's often said that the State Department no longer does diplomacy. I mean, officially, it's like the foreign ministry. It does diplomacy. But unofficially, the top figures in the State Department, they don't do diplomacy. They manage war, all right? Because that's the neoconservative ideology that is dominant now. And that was really forged in the 70s and was forged in the crucible of Afghanistan. And it has been playing out ever since. And the idea basically is military force solves all problems. And negotiation is for weak countries, all right? Strong countries. There was a very good quote from a former Secretary General of the UN, who's an Egyptian. The name escapes me. Boutros Ghali, that's right, Boutros Ghali. In his memoirs, he was describing how he himself was trying to seek a negotiated settlement to the Bosnia war, and he found the U.S. state diplomats, led by Madeleine Albright, completely uninterested in negotiations. And he was confused by this, and he had a great quote. He said, it took me a long time to realize the United States has no interest in diplomacy. Power is enough. And he said, it's like the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire also didn't have interest in diplomacy. Neither does the United States. So I think that's kind of, that's the lesson U.S. policymakers have learned from Afghanistan, all right? Decisive victory is what you want. And if that costs a few 100,000 lives, so be it.